landscape to go and graze in. And 1 cow on 10 acres all season can kill thousands of plants, but 1,000 cows grazing the same acre for a day will not kill a single plant. And the smart grazers are using that and achieving very, very good results. So, this is what they're doing. They're managing multi-paddock grazing in a manner that regenerates ecosystem function. So you might put in a couple of extra water points where you need to. Put the animals in one of these paddocks, and when it's been grazed correctly, you move to the next one and you continue with that. You don't return until those desirable plants, the ones you want, have actually recovered. That's the key. So you can determine how much is grazed, the periods of grazing, the length of time of recovery, and you can change those things both in space. Some areas can be treated differently to others in your management unit, according to your livestock goals or any other goals that you might have. And that way you can get them to graze the whole landscape and not just concentrate on that small portion of the property where they would like to if they were given a chance. And they graze a greater variety of species. All of these things together heads us in the right direction of improvement. So let's look at an example just a little bit south of here with the Noble Foundation, where they took this is a pretty beat up piece of range in good country, and you'll see a couple of decent plants here, big rooster, a little bit of sardette and stuff in there, but look how much ragweed and stuff there is there. A fairly unproductive piece of turf, but with high potential. So what they did is they put in a water point, put in electric fence, so they had 18 paddocks, and then they moved them through there. So that they grazed the area, grazed the plants that they wanted to dominate at a point where they could recover quickly and didn't come back again until they had actually recovered. That's all. It's a simple principle they operated on. These are the results. Animal unit days and the length of time of the study. You'll see from where they started, they increased nearly 4-fold. A couple of dips in there. What do you think those would do? Yeah, the odd drought year. So they managed to maintain that same principle and improve it. The important thing is, a lot of people have tried experiments where they'll say, okay, we want to see if double the number of animals will work. So they begin with double the number of animals. Is that going to work? Generally not. You need to build up your vegetation and soils before you increase your numbers. If you use this principle in your management, improve before you increase your number of animals. That is what you need to do. I have got many ranches, both this side of the Red River and in North Texas, that have achieved these results, i.e. a 4-fold increase over that many years. 1 or 2 of them, big operations, started off with about 1,000 cows that they were operating with, and within half a dozen years have built that up to 6, sometimes 5,000 animals, stockers that they bring in, improving the range all the way through. I work with them and I measure what's on the ground there, and using these principles, it can work. So at the commercial scale, it absolutely can work. So this is how they manage to achieve those positive results. Flexible stocking is the key. You must find a way to change your numbers according to the amount of forage that's available. Spread the grazing over the whole ranch. That means the whole ranch is taking the pressure, not just the preferred areas. Defoliate moderately in the growing season so your plants can come back quickly. Use short grazing periods. That's good for the animals and good for the grasses. Adequate recovery before regrazing. As I said earlier, this is something we've underestimated, but the leading people have now gone from where they were resting 30, 40 days during the growing season before. They've doubled that up to 90, and the difference is remarkable in terms of achieving the desired results.
Can I ask you on the spread grazing over the whole ranch?
Yes.
With this multi-paddock?
Yes.
What do you mean exactly by that?
Remember the previous graph figure?
Spreading. Paddocks all over.
Yes. Okay. Previously they were just concentrating on those green areas. Now you're putting them over the whole area. So you're grazing the other 2/3 of the ranch that you weren't grazing before. Good question. Okay, in this country, you leave the grass too long, it suddenly drops off the nutrients. You need to watch it carefully so that you keep it green and leafy, and before it gets onto reproductive, you need to raise it moderately so it sets it back and stays leafy for a longer period. It will provide better nutrition for your cattle, and it will keep the plants growing for longer, i.e. green material for a longer period, which is what makes your soil microbes work well.
Could I interrupt you here just a minute? When
Sure.
you're talking about changing paddocks,
Yes.
what's the optimum or rule of thumb to use for the amount of leaf area left on the plants before you move on to the next paddock?
If you graze less than 50% of what's standing, so you go in when the plants are about that high, if you graze less than 50%, then you're not going to set back the roots at all. So if you graze more than that, if you graze off 70%, so if you take it from there down to there, it will take 4 or 5 times longer for that plant to recover than if you took 50% off. So the rule of thumb is make sure that the species that you want to improve, you graze them so that they will come back quickly and you don't negatively affect the roots. So it's not a day or anything like that, it's something you've got to watch because every season is different.
And how much plant residue should you leave year to year?
We'll get into that. Okay. So here we've got 2 situations. Just across the border here, across the Red River. High density grazing with short graze and good recovery periods. How much photosynthesis are they capturing? This is mid to late summer. Okay. This is a neighbor, lightly stocked. How much photosynthesis is happening there? What do you think the nutrient cycling is here compared to there? Huge difference, I'll tell you. And both of these, because this is lightly grazed, and this has got lots of keeps lots of vegetation on the soil, is making sure that a lot of water is getting in the ground. So they're both good from that angle. We'll revisit that. So here's a look at the high density grazing versus continuous grazing. Is the color on those 2 areas the same? Which one looks healthier? The one on the left.
High density.
Okay? It's, as soon as you build up the soil, there's more fertility there, and the plants are greener, and they have wider leaves, they are growing better. They also take longer to start putting out seeds, so they stay vegetated for longer. And there's more litter cover on the ground there, shading it, capturing the moisture, than on the right there. Otherwise, the species composition is actually very, very similar. So just looking at species composition is only part of the picture. You've also got to think of, okay, what are the functions? What are the ecological functions? Are they operating well? And you must work within seasons to say. Now, a lot of people use fire. Here's another example. The species composition here and here is almost identical. But this has got bare ground, which you normally get from a fire. Unless you really know what you're doing, and you can burn under cool conditions where it doesn't get rid of the litter. Some people can do that, most don't. What's happening on that bare ground? You capturing water there? No way. So, that's about 50% bare ground for a period of time. So that's running off. How many people know that? How many people are happy if they did know that you're using half your water? Nobody wants to lose their water without using it. Another question. How many years after the burn is your ability to get water in the ground? How many years before it gets back to before the burn? The research that we've done shows it's 2 average or better growing seasons. Okay? How many years to get 2 average growing seasons? 5 to 8. So you can go for 5 to 8 years where you're getting less water in the ground than that area you burnt beforehand. So I'm not saying don't burn, but be very sure of, okay, am I burning for a good reason, and am I managing to minimize the negatives that are coming along? Think about what you're doing. That's why you must be thinking in terms of those ecosystem functions, the 4 things. every one of those situations, you've got to say, where are we with those four things? And that way we will make the right decisions. So let's look at periodic grazing versus no grazing. There's a whole bunch of people out there who wish that all the cattle in the world would disappear. Okay? They're not really our friends, and they're not the friends of the environment either, for reasons that we will discuss. Here, pulse grazing. You graze the right amount, you get off till it recovers. That encourages the right species, biodiversity, and all the four functions happening well. This is an area that the people who own it say we don't want cattle. A rich person in town, they've seen a damaged cattle roo and they say we will not have cattle. Fantastic composition. There's big blue stem and little blue stem where the soil dictates. But how much biodiversity is there? When you leave those things and you get those wolfy plants, they shade out. How many new seedlings can get established and come through? So it's only those tall grasses. They're good grasses. How much energy are we capturing compared to the one on the left? Zipper. Okay. How many of you guys know the EKG land monitoring system? Okay, what that is a particularly good job. They measure things on the land that relate to the mineral cycling, so all of these things relate to that. Water cycling, all these things relate to that. The biotic state, the biodiversity, and the energy flow. This is the graphic that illustrates that area that was not burnt. Mineral cycling, almost zero, very low. Water cycling, capture of water, fantastic. The biotic state, severely reduced, and the amount of energy, severely reduced. This is good pulse grazing. It is good on all these things. Not quite as good as this, and I'll show you some of our results. But this is a functioning ecosystem where everything is pumping along really well. This is where you earn money and this is where you improve things.